So this is something that really just can't be ignored. And I'll say this up front, that in the world of research and science, there is a silo of science and there is a silo of faith. But what we can't ignore is the growing body of evidence from the scientific world that's peeking over and looking at faith, that people who have faith and people who have faith in God, whether that is their God in that particular denomination, are better apt and able to deal with stress and depression and anxiety. So this is something scientifically that has there are some studies that have been done, particularly in Christianity, where there was a study that was published. This is Krauss and out of, I believe, University of Texas, where he did a survey and he asked people how they forgive. And he basically divided them to two different groups. There were people that would forgive conditionally and people that would forgive unconditionally. Let me put it into practical terms. Someone does something to you, and you say, "Oh, that's okay, I forgive you." The question is, would you forgive that? There are some people that would only forgive if that person came back and did some sort of act of contrition. Like, okay, I'll forgive that person, they came back and apologized. Or I'll forgive that person, they came back and they did, whatever it is. That would be considered conditional forgiveness. The other type is unconditional forgiveness. So in other words, someone does something to you, you don't see them again. Or they've never expressed any kind of, being apologetic for what they did. They still get forgiven. So that's unconditional forgiveness. What they found in this study when they divided that is that the people that forgave unconditionally had less depression, they had less feelings of inadequacy, they had less anxiety regarding end of life. They had all of these. They had more. The people that forgave conditionally had more somatization of depression. So these were real medical, things that they could actually diagnose with surveys and tests that are well validated. And what would decide between these two was how they forgave. So they were puzzled by this. They said, well, then what determines whether or not someone is going to forgive conditionally versus unconditionally? So they looked at a bunch of factors, and none of them stood out except for one. And the odds ratio on this was like 2.5. And it boiled down to this one question. Do you believe that God has forgiven you? That was the major thing. If somebody believed that the God that they had faith in had forgiven them, they were 2.5 times more likely to forgive somebody unconditionally.